Right then, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson, Ronaldo Brown. It was on his birthday the other day. He went out Sunday, spent all yesterday complaining about it. All right?
I went out Saturday night.
Oh, so it wasn't even... Yeah, it was just a 2-day problem with a hangover.
Nah, but it's been, because it was probably as bad as you can get it. Do you know what I mean?
I won't bait him out by saying the things that he got up to or didn't get up to. But he was struggling yesterday, weren't you?
Nah, I was struggling in a bad way. I will not lie, but Sunday was probably the worst of it, which was my actual birthday. So I literally spent my whole birthday, basically incapacitated.
Beautiful.
But for me, I know it sounds boring, but I'm not someone that, when your birthday comes around, you're not massively asked about making a big song and dance of the day. So I didn't care anyway. But I thought, you know what?
Do you know why?
Yeah.
You're a man.
Yeah. So I just thought... So me going out the night before leading into the birthday, that was enough for me. I didn't have to do anything on my birthday.
It's probably the most misogynistic thing I'm ever going to say, but it's women and kids that seem to care about the birthdays. By and large, I don't think men actually care. I'm sure there's some guys that care.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be friends with them guys?
No, I think it's when you get to a certain age.
If you knew a man that was going, it's my birthday, I've got whatever planned. Is it your 40th, your 50th, your 30th? No, it's my 37th.
But some people like occasions, so then they'll use it as a bit of an excuse.
Yeah, fuck them people.
Because there's a thing called birthday depression as well.
What's that?
That they say people often get, which is some people don't see it as a positive. They see it as, shit, I'm a year older. Where am I? Like the whole milestone thing. People get it in New Year's as well. When they go into a new year, they're like, shit, I had all these New Year resolutions. Did I achieve any?
Maybe that anxiety is a good thing, though, and that depression is a good thing. Maybe that's the fire to kickstart. You're not supposed to just be like, I didn't achieve anything I wanted to achieve. You're supposed to feel bad if you're not achieving what you want to achieve. That's the motivation to kickstart into doing something.
It's got to keep the fire burning. Yeah. But I think once you get past mid-20s, you're not really asked about birthday. Probably even earlier than that. But I'm not. I think my brother, because obviously got twin brothers, people not. I think he's a bit more... He'll try and enjoy it and make a song and dance, whereas me, I'm just not. I don't care too much. I can fully see next year. I already checked. I think my birthday is on a Tuesday. I'm not going to do anything. Maybe a meal at most because I like food.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Right. So we asked for questions. So I've got to keep my phone out because I've asked for some on Instagram, and we can chat to you guys what we say in the comments and that as well. It's funny, literally just before we was going live, I set my alarm for tomorrow. It reckons I need to go to bed in less than 3 hours to hit my sleep need for today. There's a question right there on the screen from Mashed Potato, which says, what time do you go to bed and what time do you wake up? Love the morning content. And then there's literally one on Insta. As we was getting to go live, I said to Ronnie, there's another one here. What time do you go to sleep at and how many hours of sleep do you get a night? It's clearly some interest in what time I'm going to bed.
I think people are probably curious about it because of these walks you're doing in the morning. So they want to know what your sleep schedule's like and if you're getting enough. So
I'm not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
I'm typically way under my sleep goal, which is why it thinks I need to go to bed at quarter. My Whoop, that is, thinks I need to go to bed. So when you set your alarm, you can set, do I want to hit my sleep need, or would like to improve my sleep, or would I like to peak or perform? You get to choose what you're aiming to do tomorrow. So I just clicked hit my sleep need because I thought, let's see what it says. And it reckons I need 10 and a quarter hours tonight to hit my sleep debt.
I think there's only been a handful of times I've slept 10 hours plus.
Yeah.
It's usually after holidays as well.
Or a jet lag.
Yeah.
Or an illness.
It's been a jet lag or I've not been well. So it's one of the two things.
Typically I go to bed about 10. I fall asleep probably about half an hour later. Sometimes it's a little bit later than that.
So you like me then? Does anyone get to... I feel like I'm acting like I'm old now just because it's been my birthday. But does no one not get to that stage where 11 p.m. Someone's put 11 p.m. in the chat, but once you get to 10:30, 11 in the evening, you're almost ready to pass out. Whereas when I was younger, in my uni days or a little bit younger than that, I could stay up till 1, 2 a.m. every single night pretty much and not feel too much worse for wear. Wake up still around 9 o'clock and be all right. If I'm actually, even on the weekends, if I'm trying to stay up for something, if it's like an American sports program or even like a boxing match or just for an occasion, once it gets to 10, 11, I'm already tired, ready to go for bed. I don't know if that's the routine and schedules of obviously work life, and I don't, just getting older. But
probably an element of them all, to be honest. Now, you get into a rhythm with your sleep. It's the same way jet lag works. You get into a rhythm with your sleep that you take yourself halfway across the world, and it disrupts your sleep. If you're going to bed even if it's between 10 and midnight, and you want to stay up and watch a UFC at 4 a.m., your body's naturally going to be tired unless you've done something in between to mitigate that. Either a big nap, a few hours, get up again, or what?
But I always wondered about that. It's because when you talk about napping, I've never been a big napper myself. I don't know if my brain's too active during the day. But if you do that thing of, all right, I want to wake up and watch something at 3 in the morning, let me go to bed at like 10, and I'll set an alarm to wake up at like 2. Whenever I've done that and then woke up, I feel a bit jaded and watched what I needed to watch, I then struggle to actually fall back asleep after that. So then it ends up being I've slept 10 till 2, which is 4 hours, and that's my sleep for that night. And then obviously it rolls on to the next day and so on. And I don't know how true it is, but I'm pretty sure I saw some sort of fact. It probably wasn't, but it was a fact that every time you sleep less than 6 hours, you take like a certain amount of time off your life expectancy.
Yeah, probably. I was hitting for July and August. I was, for some reason, the travel didn't help, but there was a few other things that was going on as well, and I was averaging 5 hours. It weren't good.
5 hours.
Yeah, and it probably was contributing to the injuries as well. We touched on that last week.
And there's so many things and conditions that you get now that are just a lot of it's attributed to lack of sleep.
I'm knackered right now, mate. I'm falling asleep right now.
Just body function. That you can't be saying that when you're on a podcast. Because do you know what I mean? I will say it beforehand. The worst time to do pods for me, if it's not on the weekend where it's like a match in the evening where you've got a kind of bit of lead up to it, but when it's been a normal work day, because we don't just turn up and do Steers today, but you generally don't just turn up and do for a podcast at 4. We've been here since 9 in the morning, pretty much, and then you go throughout the whole day, and then it's like, all right, the pod's right at the end at 4, and you've already got like a lot of the work kind of grind in your legs, the mental wear not in your legs, but in your mind. Yeah.
Well, that's why we did the brew as off topic as we have it. Yeah. Because it's on a Friday. It's the last thing on a Friday, and you're all talked out. You're literally at the very end point of a weekend. Tomorrow, Saturday, you're gonna get all the new stimulus of a new match. All of the previews are done and scheduled and whatever. So like that's why the brew is always the topic that we have it as, which is mayhem and nonsense. But yeah, for me, Tuesdays today, I was up at R5. I was out on the trail for 5 to 6. I got my video done this morning. I went back home, and I've been sort of dicking about with emails and spreadsheets and the boring side of this job until, making all my meals and stuff for this. Got training, obviously, afterwards. So, I come in typically at 3 on a Tuesday, and then I leave about 7. I go and do a fitness class and then do training.
And paddock training, then you're at home at what?
About
past 11.
About half 11, yeah.
And then pass out.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's a rough day because I'm going to bed an hour and a half later minimum from what I normally do, which is probably still not enough sleep. So yeah, tomorrow's a rough day usually. Yeah,
no, it is. Do you know what? I'm going to tell people, obviously, you've seen that Steve's got a new podcasting channel as well, where he's got more general content and speaking to guests. I've been trying to convince him, and he does have it planned. He wants to. You're going to interview you want to at some point a computer scientist, isn't it?
Mate, I want to do everybody that's got something to tell me about something. You know what I mean?
Because I want Steve to have a conversation with someone about AI. Because are you willing to admit to people that AI is your best mate now?
I'm not saying it's my best mate. It's a tool, same as Google.
It basically is replaced Google.
It's what we thought computers were gonna be. When you look at the likes of Red Dwarf and your science fiction programs in the 90s, when you would be like, hey, what would they call it?
Now, but
hey, cat, or whatever they used to call them, Al. Used to call them all Al, didn't they? Al, what's blah, 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 and then you get an answer. Well, now you can do it, and you can even do it on voice.
Yeah, but it's true, but I don't know whether you've gotten to the stage now where you're asking, like, you tell AI good morning, or like, how are you?
No, I'm not there.
You're not there yet?
I'm not there
quite yet. What did you send me in the basket the other day on WhatsApp?
Oh, so I was looking for a new PC, for a new editing PC.
And then stumbled across...
For Deck, I was getting Deck a new present. Yeah, so while I was on there, it had an AI section. You're going to look, aren't you? Well, of course we'll have a look, right? I'm going to have a look, aren't I? Audience, how much do you reckon the hardware to run your own AI would be? Give them a couple of seconds to sort of mull that over. Because I was shocked, to be honest with you. I understand it's quite heavy hardware, but I was pretty shocked. 500 grand.
500 grand? $500,000. And he would have had buyers for that as well.
Well, they're not putting it on the website unless someone's buying it. I don't think.
Wouldn't it just be bought, though, by just tech companies, though?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's what makes sense. It's actually scary how good AI is probably going to get. You're probably going to end up having, there probably already is, but like literal housebound robot versions. You could probably just ask it and it just replies to you. Like word for word.
Yeah, I mean, I was debating. So on the podcast channel,
this is why it'd be interesting. I need you to get a computer science.
I was actually, I've written 2 solo pod. I've actually written 3. Actually, it's not a lie. I've written 3 solo pod episodes, and one that I actually wrote today was about freedoms, and was about the sort of creeping sort of danger of tech and tyranny and oversight in our lives a little bit. To take this fully off topic for NXG Files.
It's not on topic, it's just a Q&A, so it's actually an opportunity for us to talk about what we want.
Well, so I've written one today about how I feel like our freedoms are being squeezed. I feel like the 15-minute cities, I feel like electric cars, I feel like digital currencies, I feel like digital IDs. I feel like all of that's coming in, and I feel like it's all going to be becoming mandatory. Did you see that they was talking recently? Someone proposed it, and the government actually said no for now, but it's on the table, so it's going to get reconsidered, I'm sure. That they were talking about under 25s, when they pass their licence, aren't allowed to drive after 11 o'clock at night, and they're not allowed to give a lift to a friend once you've passed your test. That's mental, isn't it?
But usually won't they back up that type of decision with some sort of data where they've found out that there's been a lot of accidents from under 25s?
And that's how it always comes in.
Yeah.
Now, what I think happens is, so you know from 2030 there's only going to be electric cars being made. Yeah, so my Defender, if it's still alive...
But you'll still be able to drive
you can still
petrol cars, but it won't be anyone new models.
They're not making them.
Yes.
So eventually the only thing on the road is going to be electric cars. Now... They're already introducing software in America which can detect if you're drunk or not and shuts the car off. Right? Now, they bring that in because of safety.
That doesn't sound very safe, does it?
No one wants drunk drivers, obviously. No one's out here advocating for people being drunk drivers, and this is how all this legislation gets in. But if they say to you, we can shut the cars off remotely now because of drunk drivers, okay. Well, what about tired drivers? Why are you driving at 2 a.m? You're tired. Or what if they say you've driven too far today? We're going to shut you off. You've done 1,000 miles today. Well, that's you, done for the day. Or what if you've, in the interest of being green and the environment, you've drove 2,000 miles this month, Ronnie. You're not allowed to drive anymore now. And they shut your car off. I feel that's squeezing my freedoms. You know, and when you look at the way Britain especially is getting fucking policemen knocking on your door about social media posts, and don't take this as me supporting what people have said on social media, but when they don't come round if you get burgled, but they come round for something you tweeted, that's our priorities are all sorts of fucked up, isn't it?
So you're on that whole like war against privacy.
No,
type
it's
of
not.
thing.
It's not just
in
that,
a way,
because if let's say you tweet something anti-government, right, which is likely, you tweet something anti-government, and they can shut your digital currency off and they can shut your car down. They've made it illegal to protest. There was a thing that came out 3 years ago, which is now made the word in the legislation, which is if you make a protest which causes disruption to anyone, you can go to jail for nearly a year, 51 weeks, right? Now think about that. All protest is disruptive. All protest inconveniences someone. That's the whole idea of protest. So you've basically made protest illegal.
I feel like that surely can't be.
This is why I've done. This is why I've written a whole
that can't
solo
be properly
podcast
introduced.
It's already been introduced. That's already been introduced.
The whole thing about peaceful protest is just kind of like.
And it was introduced on the back of the Just Stop Oil people that were chaining themselves to stuff, and they were disrupting like ambulances taking people's relatives, and that's the thing. But then you start going down rabbit holes, and you go, okay, Just Stop Oil are like funded by people, and they tell you that they're funded by people. Would it not make sense for this is where you get a little bit crazy, and I've got no evidence for this, but like it's easy to draw the lines between this and say Just Stop Oil. Maybe look how public that Just Stop Oil stuff was. Was that being pushed? Was that getting into all of the social media stuff because someone was pushing it and to benefit from it? I feel
you think they were backhanding those people to go sit out in roads in front of cars?
Not necessarily, but I wonder if the coverage of it was maybe amplified.
To get people to think, do they have a point?
No, to probably be annoyed at them. To be annoyed at them because look how they're taking a piss, they're doing this and other. And then when I look at the immigration type thing, I don't know, and I don't care, this is not the argument I'm making about immigration, but I don't know if the noise around the immigration, or the boats and all that sort of stuff, it's a massive, massive topic at the moment, right? Farage, who seems to be like this weird train spotter just fucking clocking all the boats coming in every single day, he's even said you can't deport them all. There's no mechanism in which you can deport all these people that are coming here illegally. So he runs on that though. That's what he would do. But he's even admitted that you can't even do that, which is mental to me. Now, again, I'm not getting into a conversation about that immigration stuff, and I think there's a lot of real funky stuff going on with that. But is the noise and the coverage of all of that boat stuff coming in, I feel like what they're going to say is this is a security risk. We should all have digital IDs. Because they can't get digital IDs because they're here illegally. Therefore, everyone should have a digital ID and we'll be able to find them easier. It's going to stop them getting jobs. And then, they're already saying, in Britain, the only people using cash are criminals.
I was going to say, so that does kind of circle back to the whole cashless society thing. Do you know what I mean? Where obviously it's almost been, and that, do you think that was helpfully enforced during and because of COVID as well?
Yes, because cash was dirty.
That was a lot of the arguments towards people saying that obviously COVID being man-made, and it's all about this kind of long-term vision for this whole digital currency thing and this whole war against privacy, and it almost have the excuses and the reasons to kind of enforce that. Is this kind of where you're going?
Yeah, and you've got the tinfoil hat conspiracy, Alex Jones, black helicopters, governments, fucking globalists, weird angle there, and then you've got the other side of it, which is the angle I'm sort of coming at here, which is I feel like my freedoms are being restricted, and it doesn't keep me up at night, but I do look at the freedoms that I had as a teenager and my early 20s, and I look at the next 20 years, and none of these things ever get rolled back. They only ever come in. And I think about what's life going to look like for my kids as they navigate through being teenagers and into their early 20s. And when I look at what the government appears to be doing, the government's meant to exist for the benefit of the people and create prosperous lives for the people in the country in which they govern. That's their only fucking remit. And when I look at what our government's doing, it's not the only government, but when I look at what our government's doing, and they do things like removing the energy cap on prices for energy, right? Nobody wanted that. That's just fucked the entire country all at once. We have got one of the highest energy prices. We've got the highest in Europe and one of the highest energy prices in the world. How? We've been going green for 20 years. We've got fucking wind farms off every bit of coastland. We've got them all over the bastard hills that are farming all this wind. We've got nuclear energy. Why is our energy the fucking dearest in the world? One of the dearest in the world.
And what's your theory for why?
Because the government's fucking us in the arse with no lube. That's what's going on. They're not governing for the people. When I look at what they're trying to do, they're not helping people of Britain. The house prices are up the arse, right? the dream of owning a fucking home for the vast majority of, like, you guys that all work here and fucking 95% of the people that are watching, not going to fucking happen, right? You're going to be renting and you're going to get your ass handed to you on rent because the cost of rent's up the fucking spout as well. You get your ass handed to you at the petrol pumps. You get your ass handed to you on all these different fucking taxes. You don't own anything anymore. It's all fucking streamed, right? I used to own CDs, DVDs. That was mine. Now if I fucking cancel my Apple Music subscription, I don't get to fucking listen to Oasis anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, does it not fucking... Am I going mad here? Or is there some fucking legit shit?
Personally, I think you're spitting. Like,
all I can think of...
I actually hear it, everything you're saying.
All I can think of is I want to fuck off to the woods and be off grid. But I'm fucked. I'm not a part of the Matrix. I am in the Matrix. It's probably 10,000 hours of me talking out on this fucking thing. My living comes through ones and zeros through the internet. I can't unplug. I am plugged in.
Now, but your whole thing is, since I've known you, is you eventually want to be able to go out and sit in the wilderness and do nothing and be a ghost.
Yeah.
That's always been Steve's end goal aspiration, is to, it's going to upset people here, is eventually not have to do this anymore and just be able to kind of Bear Grylls it and just enjoying it. Especially when Blake gets old enough.
Content. Yeah. But I have a yearning for unplugging, sitting around a campfire every night and being... I could easily be off grid, but I also can't be off grid. That's the duality of life. I would love to be off grid. I can't be off grid. I mean, everyone would like to go on holiday. You can't just go on holiday. Reality sits in. You can go on holiday for 2 weeks a year. Got to fucking earn a living otherwise. We all have the things that we don't want to fucking do.
I actually realised that my mum's been trying to get me to go back to Jamaica for the last... I've not been since 2019. So that's 6 years now. I've went quite frequently growing up as a kid, as a child, as a teenager. But once actual like adulting starts, work life, responsibilities...
Now you're paying for your own ticket.
Yes, obviously paying for your own ticket. But it's more... When you go to Jamaica, it's minimum, really. To make it worthwhile, it's like a 2-week trip at minimum. When I used to go back in the day, it was like 1 month, 6 weeks. To kind of get a sustained amount of time out there. Obviously, got family out there that I could stay with, that are doing quite well for themselves, and it's obviously a big part of me and culture. And now I can't go because that whole thing, like you said, where if I go to Jamaica for 2 weeks, that's all my holidays for the year done. And then I could not take a single paid day off for the rest of the year. So my mum's been like, why don't you come to Jamaica? My mum's been like 4 or 5 times the past few years, and like, I can't come with you, sorry. But take these 2 weeks off. I cannot take another day off at all. And
that's because you also get days off to do your hair and shit.
Yeah. Do you know what's mad? Because I wouldn't just take them off. If it weren't for that, literally, if I was getting my head on Saturdays, I'd probably end up not even using them all. Or I could maybe go for Jamaica 1 week, maybe. Who knows?
Some of the comments says the background fan noise. I don't think so. I mean, the aircon's on, but it's not. It shouldn't be getting picked up by the what's it. We got a Thriller says maybe an off-grid community. They always get weird, man. Someone ends up fucking everyone's wife, and it all gets fucking squirrely real quick, and then they all drink the Kool-Aid and then fucking kill themselves. Like, that's happened so many times. Fuck that shit. Tim says I know loads of people who would leave the UK but can't because of Brexit. Listen, here's the thing, right? I wear that Everyday Patriot brand, not just because it's my mates, but because I actually believe in it. I fucking love the Britain, and I love a lot of what Britain stands for. Not all of it, right? Certainly not a flag shagger. But I love the British countryside. I love the heritage and the history of the place. And I think if you fucking love something, you want to see it do well, and I don't think that means running away. I think that you've got to try and make where you are fucking better. But at the same time, I don't have to be happy about it.
Yeah. Someone's said up there that we've been tricked into dual income households. That's another thing that's people about around my age have said, your likelihood of owning a home or getting a mortgage without basically being in a long-term relationship with someone where you're both earning money, slim to none. Whereas back in the day, you probably could individually.
Well, feminism sold women the dream to go out and earn their own wage, okay? And I think there's fundamentally nothing wrong with that.
I would say it's a soul dream. I think there's nothing wrong with that at all.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that in the slightest. But what you did see was, I don't know why, maybe was it the fact that now the workforce has maybe doubled in terms of what you what's out there? So there's more people looking for work. Does that mean that employers could squeeze wages maybe? I don't know. It'd be interesting to work out what the disconnect was, because when you look at like America especially, Britain post-war was fucked for a long time, and I think people are looking back with rose-tinted glasses. They think that it was all rosy in England all the way through from the Second World War to now. It wasn't. There was times in the 70s where there was only 3-day working weeks because there wasn't enough fucking energy to go around. You know, the bins weren't getting collected, rubbish was piling up on the streets, everyone was fucking skint. They'll tell you they were happy, but they fucking clearly weren't all happy, was they? So I think there's probably a lot of rose tinting going on. I feel like the 90s, it was probably a little bit more livable. Early 2000s, it was a little more livable. When you look at things like 1960s America, 1970s America, and again, certainly depending on what race you was, because the civil rights things didn't kick in until the mid-60s. So clearly it wasn't fucking fantastic living for everybody. But if we're talking in broad generalisms here, you could have a guy with no experience go and drop his CV off somewhere, get a job for life, and support 3 kids, 2 holidays, a Ford fucking Mustang, and a 4-bedroom detached house, and his missus just bakes fucking pies and shits kids out all day long. Could you imagine the level of wealth you would need to do that now? To keep your missus at home, to not work, to have a fucking brand new car sat on a driveway, and not have to have gone to college or university, and just get a secure job for life with union that's going to make sure that your wages are going up every single fucking year. Like, those boomers played life on easy mode, mate.
I know a couple CEO, big CEOs and business owners, really. I do know a couple. I knew a couple that I played football with that had parents like that, but because the dad was just a huge earner. One owned like a real estate company and one owned like a tech company. Living in Hale Barnes and Winslow. I think that's the only real...
You get outliers, obviously.
Yeah, that's the only way. Especially for what you've described then.
But that felt... I mean, maybe that's just what we've seen from movies, and maybe it wasn't accurate. But that's what it felt like, innit?
So what's that man's describing Birmingham?
Which bit?
Not sure what Birmingham's like. Obviously, I've had family live there. I've visited. It's never been a city that I've talked too kindly to be honest.
Right and Wrong says, RE Debt, BlackRock are buying debt against music royalties for songs now. What? What does that mean in real money?
Yeah, what does that mean? Jim Max says tax avoidance is the biggest problem.
Dave says all those jobs are gone because Amazon put all those small businesses under. Greg's closed, all local bakers, all local banks have closed. But why are local banks closing? And how did they afford to open in the first place? Do you know what I mean?
You reckon it's the surge of online banking?
Yeah, but...
Less people needed to walk into high street banks.
But how did they afford to have hundreds of branches up and down the country anyway? You know what I mean? I get having less branches, but like no branches.
Nah, there's definitely not no branches. Probably just less.
There's not loads though.
And that's just probably demand, as with anything.
Yeah. At the same time though, there's more people in the country than ever before. I think that's safe to say. If you listen to Farage and all that, there's another couple of thousand arriving every fucking day on a dinghy. But all the police stations are closing. How? Now, it's one thing, no police turning up on your fucking doorstep when someone's robbing you. And it's another thing turning up when you fucking put something on Facebook they don't like. But how is there no police station? Like, Bobby's on the beat, that's one thing, right? Yeah, that's probably always been a myth, that you would see policemen just fucking cutting about the area, depending on where you live. Most places, you're just not really fucking seeing that. But how is there no police stations? Where are all the police hanging out? Because there's more police than ever before. So what the fuck are they doing?
What? They haven't got rid of police stations, though?
No, they've closed 2/3 of police stations in the last 25 years.
All right. Is that... Okay.
That's a stat. That is a stat.
Could that also be... Nah, it probably isn't, but could that also be...
It is, because I wrote it today.
Is that what you found out today?
Yeah.
Are less people wanting to become policemen or policewomen?
No, there's more police employed now, but they've closed 2/3 of the stations. So they've just got these mega hubs of police stations, but what are they all doing? Paperwork by the sounds of it, and not actual police.
Isn't it? That is policing though.
Well,
Policing isn't just on the ground.
The other thing as well is, so technically, by the crime statistics, Britain is safer than it's ever been. I don't think it feels safer, right? Now, that could be scaremongering. That could be social media sort of highlighting certain things that makes you feel unsafe because you're now seeing, you've got access to all of the violent crime on Twitter all times. That might make it feel less safe. That might have always happened.
The main hub of journalism, isn't it, Twitter?
Yeah. But because you weren't seeing it, you never really felt it. I certainly don't think Britain feels safer right now. But also, if you was a victim of a crime, how likely are you to even bother reporting it? Because you know that, mate, they don't even bother investigating murders properly. What's the fucking point?
And isn't their excuse usually funding?
Yeah, but, the point I was getting at is, technically, people will say crime has gone down because the reporting of crime has gone down. Does that mean crime has gone down, though?
Yeah, but then they can't really work on guesswork of thinking how many crimes have happened that haven't been reported.
Yeah, which is.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a bit of a catch-22 with that one. But
and then fucking housing. Why is there no housing being built? Why is it so fucking hard to build houses?
And you feel like there's still more than enough land to build houses on.
Have you flown over this country?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's one of the main things you notice, when you fly over England when you're about to land back in London, you can just see green.
Maybe they need to start just doing like what they did with Milton Keynes and just picking a fucking spot in Wales and going building a city.
Or just did what they did with Dubai.
Yeah. Guess what? When there's now a city here.
There's a desert, but now we're just going to make it full of just basically...
So outside of the national parks, because let's obviously keep the beautiful spots in national parks, where's like a mad fucking weird shithole that you just go, do you know what? This is the new fucking Dubai. Something like that. Where's fucked? Well, someone in the comments must know.
Where? There's no housing shortage, according to Jigger Store. I think he said that a few times now.
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, that would obviously be a bit of an issue, is building more houses, less greenery. Then people that are quite heavily green will obviously argue, saying that's a bit of a problem. Do you know what I mean?
Ultimately, yeah, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but you know what this just proves? I feel like there's never a way to please everyone.
Fact.
That's just how it is.
Yep.
There's always going to be some group of people that isn't happy with some sort of legislation or some decision that's been made or some way of living. Because when you that tirade that you went on earlier, you probably could end up if things were your way, it could probably help like a whole lot of people. But then
someone's nose gets bent out.
But then the people that get their nose bent out of shape will be the big corporations and the big business owners and the people that are mostly out for themselves.
I'm going to ask a question here, and I'm ignorant to it. So this isn't me throwing accusations. This is me being an everyman and not fully understanding the situation.
Great cinema,
so if someone... You what?
Everyman, top cinema. Anyway, go on.
This is me asking questions and asking to be educated because I don't know. I tend to lean on the side of always support employees. I tend to lean on the side of the regular person, including me, ain't paid enough. It's the pricks at the top that are screwing everything for everybody. That's my general sort of outlook on life. That's Mancunian sort of attitude, I feel. When I look at the tube strikes, their basic salary is 70k. Okay? They typically work 4 days a week.
For tube drivers?
Yeah, the train drivers. A lot of them because of the overtime, because I think they do 36 hours a week, something like that. It's usually
across four. Okay, so it's quite long.
It's 9 hours.
Yeah.
But it's across 4 days-ish, so it's not that long.
And is it? It's obviously varying times of the day. They might do one where it's like...
yeah, they might have to do some late ones, shifts, whatever. But I think they get overtime, and a lot of them end up with 90k, right? They get pretty good holidays. They get a phenomenal pension. Can someone educate me on what they're striking for? Because from what I can gather, their salary and package absolutely shits all over everybody else's. What's going on there? Can anyone explain to me? Again, not... Right, so someone said that's not exactly true. Okay, cool. Please educate me, because I'm not... this isn't me wanting to have a dig at the tube strikers, but from when I just look at what I've seen, it doesn't make sense. Not just it's 70k after overtime. I saw one that was 70k basic, unless that was just incorrect.
70k basic for a tube driver in London. It didn't sound right. Obviously, I know it's in London, and that's where tubes are. Tubes aren't anywhere else, especially the same way in the same network. And I know London wage is a little bit higher compared to the rest of the country. Apparently, it isn't enough when you do it comparative to the living cost there. But 70k did sound a little bit high as a basic salary though for a tube train driver.
Well, it says here. So this is the first Google answer that comes up. Underground train drivers earns 65,179 as an annual salary in April 2024, with advanced operators earning 75,677 according to Transport for London. It's 35 hours a week.
35 hours a week. And obviously the strike is about, that's not enough.
Can someone explain to me what the issue with that is?
Well, the people, you're asking who can obviously explain. But unless
Akash says the cost of living in London's out of control. Totally understand that. But they're not the only people living in London, are they?
Unless we actually have some tube drivers in the chat, they're not probably going to have an idea of why they are striking.
I don't know. There must be loads of people who live in London that have got more of a clue than we do. Obviously, we're
it is detached. I know Londoners do feel like they're detached from the rest of the country. When you actually go to London, I would actually be inclined to agree with them. It does feel, when I go to London, it does feel like I've gone to a separate, not like a separate country, but it does feel very different.
We pulled something up a while ago on some video that we were doing, and it was the transport spend per capita. So for people that are ready to go, there's more people in London. Cool. The per person spend in London, I think per 1,000 people, it was like $2,500 per 1,000 people was the spend in London on transport by the government. I think in the northeast.
Annually?
Yes, I think so. I think in the northeast it was like £2. In the northwest it was like £4. I think like your shires, like your Shropshires, Somerset type areas, I think it was more like £100, something like that. Birmingham was a little bit higher, £2,500.
Is that where it's a bit more grassland, where you probably got to drive more, but
isn't that insane? The disparity in the spend. I mean, obviously there's something like the tube's going to cost billions. Manchester's just announced it's doing an underground. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Last week. They have a strong union. Well, clearly, yeah. Better working conditions and a pay increase of 4.2%. That's what they're striking for.
Better work conditions. Do you know what? Manchester Underground, is that really necessary now that we've got trams?
Well, the trams are on the road.
I know they have overground. Yeah, it's technically an overground thing, but I don't think Manchester doesn't feel like it's big enough to need an underground.
I think they're trying to future-proof it before it gets too... Like, if you try and do it in 25 years when there's even more infrastructure that you've got to dig up and fuck about with, maybe they're trying to future-proof it. Because imagine if you tried to dig London Underground today, the cost of that would be just fucking...
And I was saying, how long would it take to build an underground for Manchester as well? And how far out are they going? Is it like underground where it's going to take you to Greater Manchester? So you
there you go. Yeah, I was correct. So public transport spending of $2,500 per head is not a current average, but a figure from 2014 when transport spending per head in London was £2,500 a year per head. And it was £5 in the northeast. How does that make sense? How the fuck does that make... How do you expect the rest of the country to catch up when you've got that disparity in spend? That's literally the government saying, we don't value you fucking monkeys in the north anywhere near as much as we value you lot in the south. That's fucking outrageous. Isn't that mad?
Yeah, it is. But that's where all the money is, isn't it? London. As they see.
Then, is it correlation or causation?
But then it's better. Yeah, but then wouldn't it be better for the country in general if you kind of like disperse that type of money and earning power to the rest of the country? Because for me, I'm biased anyway. I'm always arguing that Manchester is as good as City as it gets. Personally.
So here's the full thing: is it was actually £2,600. It was £2,595 in London, £714 in the South East, £218 in the East Midlands, £184 in the West Midlands, £160 in Yorkshire, £99 in the Northwest. So they're spending £25 per person, 25 times more per Londoner than Mancunian. East of England, £30. North East, £5. £5 1p. What the fuck?
And is that just TFL?
No, that's population. Spending per head of English population on transport infrastructure by region.
And that's obviously continuous throughout the year.
Thriller says London's a brilliant city. Manchester is catching up to do. Can we start with being spent 25 times less? How about that? How about you spend 25 times more per head on Manchester and see what happens?
How could Manchester catch up to London, really?
It's not going to do that.
That's just not possible.
Yeah. Like people like London's self-sustainable. Clearly not, because they're having to spend 25 times more per fucking head there. Do you know what I mean?
It's a nice scene anyway. Well, last time I went to London, I stayed in Kensington. Chelsea, quite posh. But the whole match.
I love walking around there. The shopping there, shit's all over Manchester. I'm a fan.
I do enjoy the occasional excursion to London. Do you know what I mean? I do. It does feel like a little bit of it's a city break. It feels like you've gone, almost feels like you've gone somewhere foreign. I cannot lie. But the whole Manchester, I know a lot of Londoners have moved to Manchester as well because of living costs. I feel like I've met a lot of Londoners that live down here for that reason. But then again, what happens then is it drives up the price of Manchester, and then what you're finding is Manchester is actually getting more expensive as time goes on, which happens naturally anyway, just natural inflation. But Manchester's not exactly that much of a cheap option anymore in terms of when you think of it as an alternative. Especially when there's people in Manchester now that are already deciding if they want to get a mortgage or they want to find housing. Where are they going? They're going to the outskirts of Manchester, aren't they? Where it can be a little bit cheaper. But then, because obviously you live in Glossop, that's classed as an out. Have a doxed you then, pretty much, on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, my bad. But, but it is basically outside. But even then, it's not exactly cheap, is it? No.
Someone's just said in the comments there, how much tax does London generate per Manchester? Yeah, but that's the point. That's the point we're making, is if it generates that much more in tax, is that per population? Like, I know the average salary is higher. A lot of the reason is because it has to be higher because it's London. Is it generating 25 times per person more though? I feel like it's not.
And then Cole says Birmingham is getting the money now. Manchester will be after all about connecting London to these other big cities.
Well, they fucked HS2.
Well, Birmingham is the second city anyway. It's much closer to London than Manchester is, so it should anyway. And obviously Birmingham is quite a lot bigger than Manchester, based on size.
I think it's
or is
a
it
lot
just
to
the general
do with,
millions?
I think the Greater Birmingham area. I think Greater Birmingham and Greater Manchester's not too far off each other. I think it's probably because of the way Manchester only called like the city of Manchester, like.
Not including the Boltons and the Wigans.
Yeah, but not even like, your Trafford is technically, it is a different borough, isn't it? Salford is a different city. Yeah. Like, saw an argument on Twitter the other day. Someone was like, no, it's not. Like, it's literally a different city. Literally. They're very, very close to each other, but it's literally a different city. It has a fucking cathedral and a university. It's a literal different city.
Yeah. See what Brown Knight says then? That's not the world that we live in.
What do you mean?
Shouldn't the aim be to distribute the wealth equally among all people?
I mean,
sounds nice on the surface.
As a government, you should absolutely be treating all your citizens the same, though. And here's the thing: if it costs you 25 times more to invest in London, why are you not investing that elsewhere in the country? Surely, then you could create other hubs around the country that would make the country more prosperous, and therefore that would mean less healthcare spending in certain areas, less welfare spending in certain areas, and a better country overall.
Well, then the easy answer for that is London makes the country much more money than everywhere else in the country.
But is that correlation or causation?
Yes, exactly. But then they're just going to keep funneling into it, innit? Because the time that they might take or the spending that they might use to try and distribute it to other cities to probably raise their level of earning a little bit, so to make the whole general country earnings a little bit more equal. They'll be like, if I just keep funneling this funding into London, I'll probably end up the same amount anyway or more.
But then, because it costs so much to do anything in London, surely there's efficiencies to be had by... Look at like Media City and stuff like that. It was a great initiative. And a lot of production companies moved to Media City because of that. The government has a handle on stuff like that. They can create zones which encourage certain growth. Look at... So, for example, if you look at America, you've got a few different sort of industries and zones across America doing different bits. Obviously, you've got the financial pull of New York, but Chicago's a very prosperous city. Boston is a very prosperous city. Los Angeles and San Francisco has become very, with Silicon Valley, become like very tech heavy, because that was the right environment to sort of encourage that, and that's grown in that area.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is San Francisco the most expensive place to live in America, or one of?
Yeah. And
they have a massive issue in the intercity area with homelessness as well.
San Francisco was really bad when I was there. It was serious. The only place where I thought it was as on top and noticeable was Las Vegas. But Las Vegas, I thought was. I mean, San Francisco was a lot of homeless, but it's like a quite mild climate. Didn't get too cold, didn't get too warm. Las Vegas, mate, you would not want to. I mean, you don't want to be homeless anywhere, but I can't imagine the survivability of being homeless in Las Vegas is very long.
Yeah, with the heat.
Mate, it was outrageous. Yeah. Why are we getting emergency alerts? Have we had one? Did you get one the other day?
Yeah, I got one the other day.
I didn't get one.
I was...
Janine asked me, did I get one? And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't know what it was.
I didn't hear the sound, but when I think my brother's phone buzzed off, and when I checked mine, I had a message, but I didn't have the actual sound. So, nah, I didn't... It was very, very strange, that, wasn't it? What was it about? What was it testing for? They do it every now and again. It wasn't like a nod out of the blue thing.
Not sure. When I was in America, we got an alert for a kidnapped child. And it was like, this car's kidnapped a child with this registration. You're like, that feels like a lawsuit, doesn't it, if you haven't?
Okay, no. No, it is, but probably it is serious. It's cheaper to film in Ireland than it is in LA.
See, yeah, Hollywood's going to shit because of all that sort of stuff. They're filming in like Bulgaria and
moving to
where else is somewhere that's
I think
really busy with filming. Ireland's one of them.
They've just filmed. They filmed the new Spider-Man 4. I think it's been filmed in Scotland.
Is it? Well, you know, our neighbourhood here there's every month someone's filming New York in Northern Quarter, aren't they? There's a question up there from Striker, or a comment up there from Striker, which said, I said R9, where is it? Find it. Yeah, when you say R9 is the best level a footballer has got to, is that from what I've witnessed or what I think in general? For me, that opinion is wrong in both cases. Well, for starters, how can you say that if I was saying R9 is the best I've watched, it's wrong, because that's my opinion. And also, it is what I believe in terms of it's the best level any footballer has got to. Please let me know who you think reached a higher high than that.
Lionel Messi.
I'm happy for people to talk about consistency.
Lionel Messi.
I think what they did over a longer period was absolutely sensational, and I think they were extremely close. But I think in terms of fear factor, R9 at his peak, nobody came close.
Nobody came close? You said nobody came close, though.
Okay, nobody beats him.
Lionel Messi?
Nobody beats him.
Messi's definitely the highest peak of football I've seen. But obviously, I didn't see R9.
Who you named after?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what mum's doing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can judge players by... There's so many ways to judge players. It's longevity, it's what they achieve statistically, and then you've also got the general eye testing of the ability they have.
I think what Messi and Ronaldo did, they are 1 and 2 greatest players of all time, and you can argue amongst yourselves who's 1 and who's 2. That's fine. I don't think there's a wrong answer with either of those. If you say I prefer Ronaldo because of X, Y, and Z, fine. If you say I prefer Messi over X, Y, and Z, cool. I'm not going to argue with you. Those two are number 1 and number 2. Everybody else is below those. I think when you look at the pure footballing ability of what R9 was doing in an era where you was allowed to assault him, I think Messi and Ronaldo come in 15 years later. The playing field had been made easier for them in terms of refereeing and how the game was refereed and managed. I think
I don't think
physicality he had to deal with.
I don't
different.
think it's fair. I hate the cross error comparisons because it's unfair, because I think you should judge every player in this way relative to the era they played in. So it's like when people look down upon Maradona and say, oh, could he do it in this day and age where, although it was probably a lot more rough and aggressive then, but
drug testing for what?
But players are a lot more athletic now. The defenders are better, etc. in terms of fitness and speed of game, whatever. I think you have to just judge players relative to their era and keep it that way. I feel like doing the whole, you could tackle back in Ronaldo's day. And I don't think Ronaldo played in an era that was much younger than, much older than, because Messi and Ronaldo arrived on the scene mid 2000s.
I mean, they overlapped, but I think the peak of R9 was 97, 98. And I think at that time, some of the stuff he was doing, how many goals you saw him beat 4 and 5 whilst they're hanging off his shirt, dragging him down, and he still drove through the centre of those players. He was like Messi and Ronaldo combined. He had the dribbling and like lateral movement of Messi, and he had that fucking straight line power and speed of Cristiano. And that's why for me, when I think about the peak that he got to, I'm talking about, if you're an opposition player, Messi and Ronaldo are clearly problematic for you to deal with. But I think he would have been way more problematic.
And do you think people's likability and stuff like that and their antics as well affect how they're perceived?
1,000,000%.
Because obviously you've seen it with Giggs.
But Luis Suarez probably should be rated higher by people because as a striker it was a problem, but I'm never going to admit he was good.
It's the same way. It's not quite the same, but it's the same way I feel like people have underrated where Neymar would lie in top footballers of all time because of obviously he's diving and he's like, he can be like a bit greedy and he's this whole like thing around him of being quite unserious.
I think that's fair.
But when you actually look at him in terms of actual ability, not many players that have ever lived football have had more ability than Neymar. But it's about, but he doesn't get perceived that way because he's not ultra likable in terms of, not for me, I still like him, but in terms of he was a bit of a diver, he was quite cynical, had a bit of a temper, gets sent off all the time, lashing out at people. He wouldn't always play in the confines of like team football, do you know what I mean? And his system, but if you look at him from an ability perspective, it's hard to have that many people that have ever lived above him. But because I've had this discussion with Steele a lot, and you're like, you said you can't get past his antics.
Yeah, listen, I think he's a good player. I would like to have seen him maybe dominate the biggest of games, maybe a little bit more than he did do. I know that's pretty subjective, but I think I agree on the likability thing. I think that absolutely plays into a factor. I think people absolutely factor that in when they're thinking about how good a player was. Someone there said, did R9 ever win a European Cup? No. But you got to remember as well, he spent the majority of his career on the up and up. And actually, this plays into Sir Alex Ferguson's legacy a little bit as well.
See, the comments in the chat saying, I don't rate Neymar at all, Neymar down, he only had a good few years at Barca, Neymar's an overrated clown. That is exactly the optics and the replies that is labelled at Neymar, which for me is nowhere near the representation of the actual footballer he was in terms of ability and stuff. So it's like,
yeah, the whole thing with his dad, his agent, his weirdness with his sister, and shit like that.
And you know what's the funniest part?
It was all on top.
You know what the funniest part about Neymar is as well? Is actual career statistics for Barcelona and PSG.
They stack up.
are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, they stack up.
But people just dismiss that as well. I don't know. It's just some sort of optics about him that make people try and disparage him as an actual football player when it's not. And the responses in the chat are exactly the type of ones that you get. Yeah.
What was I going to say then? Did R9 win a European Cup? No, and a bit like Fergie, when you can finish 5th like you can now and enter the Champions League, I think it does devalue it a little bit. You can make an argument that you have to win more games, and of course you do. But I also think the difficulty and the luck that came into you being at a team that was able to win a title to qualify for the Champions League back in the day, it was probably a little bit easier to win once you was in that competition, but getting into that competition may be a little bit harder. So it's difficult to compare across those eras and look at how many Champions Leagues Sir Alex got. Because, you know, from the first 4 years that he's at Manchester United, English clubs are not even allowed in European competition. The first time he is allowed in it, it's on the back of winning the FA Cup. We get Barcelona's dream team, which did become European champions the following season, and we beat them. It took us until 93-94 to be able to get into the Champions League. That was nearly 8 years of Sir Alex Ferguson being here. That's a long fucking time of his career. No European Cup competition or no Champions League competition. And then there was a couple of times when we finished second. We ended up in the UEFA Cup because that was the game at the time. I think the year we actually won the Champions League, 98-99, was the first time that runners-up were allowed in the Champions League. I think that was the first year that the runners-up was allowed in, and we came second to Arsenal that year. Can we just get those super chats, please, and just do those and then wrap it up?
Yeah, wrapping up well over.
Yeah, we have gone.
So it's might actually have something to collect as well.
Johnny says, "Can I stream the morning walks?" No. Also, someone commented saying this would be really good for a podcast. No. Like, the whole idea of those morning walks in the way that they are is that they're frictionless to do. I have my little DJI, I can just chat some shit and I can upload it off my phone. We use the same like template for the thumbnails and they go up like that. If it's a podcast, we need probably 3 people. You need like camera operators. You probably need people holding onto the camera operators so they don't fall over while they're holding the camera. The edit's going to take fucking ages when you get 3 cameras coming back from, and it was like take a guest with you. Like, it goes from me just fucking bobbing out on a trail to now like 9 people. And as we're finding with the podcast, like, it's actually really difficult to get people to come down for a podcast.
I've got a bounce.
All right, I'm just going to blast through these then. Right and Wrong says, Paddock interested in pulling a Ted Lasso. I don't know what that means. Just got a green light from my boss to move out of the States and need a visa. Does Hyde have Wi-Fi? No, it doesn't. But I also don't know what that means. I've mentioned putting an audio book on when I sleep. Elaborate. I put an audio book on when I go to sleep, mate. Like, I don't know what more you need me to elaborate on. I have a little Alexa fella in the corner, and I just say, play audio book. I'll play Audible, and then it does. Ant says, there's a reason more people are emigrating now. There's probably several reasons. But yeah. Akash says, Steve, you see all this inflation because we have a debt-backed system right now. Bring back the gold standard. See, I don't understand how that fucking works. I don't understand how if your currency is backed by gold, then no one has that anymore. Make that make sense to me, please. Tom says, have I seen that I'm an insomniac? Head's gone. What? What do those words mean?
I don't know.
Sorry.
He's tripping.
Anyways, yeah, I'm getting missed calls off Janine here as well, so I better wrap it up.
Got miles over.
Cheers. Thanks everyone for tuning in. As always, that was definitely off topic. And I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.